And we are live. So today is very, very important day. I've been looking forward to Donna Jackson Nakazawa. I told her last time she was on in the classroom that I just love saying her name. And I don't know, but she has written many books. And this will be your fifth one, right, Donna?
This is actually my sixth book, yeah.
Your sixth book. Because I had 4 of them, but okay.
Yes.
So it's getting better and better, you guys. It's a whodunit, and it's a whodunit, but it's really factual. It's not nonfiction. It is a truth when it comes to learning more about the health of our brain and the myths that were out there, and now we're at a new level of understanding. So fasten your seatbelts because we're going to learn and grow together. Here we go.
The Lillian McDermott Show.
We love, we fear, bridges we burn, we make mistakes, then we live and learn. When life gets tough, and it seems like your best ain't good enough. If you're in need of hope, you know where I'll be right here. Right here, and when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here, waiting for
you. This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening as well as my viewing friends on Facebook Live at Lillian's Radio Show. So that's facebook.com/Lillian's Radio Show. I'm so glad that we can meet each other on the air on this best day ever. And for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, because you know Donna Jackson Nakazawa is on today, then welcome. We've been waiting for you. Please know that this is a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, as well as my viewing friends, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Now, today, we're going to get right to the nitty-gritty because this, to be honest, and I said this to Donna, that I was feeling a little overwhelmed before I picked up this book and thinking that this is going to be something that I'm just like going to have a hard time understanding. But she makes it so easy for us. So the word that we're going to talk about today and that we're going to become aware of in the future, that it's fascinating, is the microglia. The microglia. It's a recent groundbreaking discovery revealed that these tiny brain cells are capable of being like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And so we are excited, and I am excited because award-winning journalist, scientific journalist, Donna Jackson Nakazawa, she highlights the importance of these tiny little brain cells that come into your body, go into your brain like 9 weeks in gestation. But she's going to explain all of that because she has done over 2.5 years of research to create this beautiful book called The Angel and the Assassin. So I want all of you to take notes today because this could be impacting you and you don't even know it. And so and later on, Matt Bellis of Liberty HealthShare is going to be coming on. But right now, since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am grateful that Donna Jackson Nakazawa is here to do just that. Welcome back to the classroom, Donna.
Happy to be here, Lillian. Thank you for having me. Pleasure.
So every book that you have written, it's just so full of information for us to empower us. So why this one? What made you share a little bit about your background and what made you decide I'm going to write another book?
Well, I think if people read my work, they know that in the past 15 years, I've struggled with a lot of autoimmune issues. So between 2001 and 2007, I was really a revolving door patient at Johns Hopkins, suffering with an autoimmune disease, which would cause me to be paralyzed and in bed, and then I get better and learn how to walk again. And the second time this happened, my recovery really, I was bedridden for almost 6 months, and it took me about 2 years to get to a place where I could go for a long walk again. I can't run. There are a lot of things I can't do, can't jump. But as that was happening, I had questions about some of the changes that I also experienced going on in my mental state and my cognition. So this is around 2006, 2007. I would say to my doctors, my team, a fabulous team at Hopkins, look, I'm noticing changes. I can't remember words, people's names. My daughter would bring home sixth grade math or first grade math, and I'd be struggling with 6 + 9. I remember looking at a bowl of watermelon, cutting it up for my kids. And this is, good 6 months into my recovery and going, gosh, what is this called? Mm-hmm. That kind of thing was happening all the time. And I was also noticing that for someone who is pretty on the go, even as I manage the different autoimmune diseases that I have, and like, just, my attitude to life has always been pretty positive, even in the face of suffering. Yeah. But I noticed this very dark mind state that felt different, didn't feel like me. And I remember I was reading Harry Potter to my son, who was 10, in bed, and I read about the Dementors who come and steal your mind state and make you feel nothing but dread. I was like, wow, I feel like these Dementors have taken over my brain. So I'd say this to my doctors, and around that time, it was categorically believed across all scientific fields that although our immune cells, and everybody knows what those are, white blood cells, work to keep our body safe from infections, pathogens, toxins, and even in the face of chronic stress, something I wrote a lot about in Childhood Disrupted, that the brain was categorically immune privileged. So what do I mean by that? If you fall down and scrape your knee, your immune cells are just going to come rushing in and try to make that area of your body healthy again. Mm-hmm. Immune cells rule every organ in the body, but scientists believed, for reasons having to do with anatomy and philosophy, that there was no such thing as immune activity in the brain. So for 300 years, since the era of Descartes, the philosopher, when he first put forth this idea of mind-body dualism, science adopted the idea, as did practitioners from internists to psychiatrists, that the body and the brain function as church and state entities. So I began to look around at some of the data and some of the research coming out. Wow. And right around that time, research was starting to show that maybe there was a bigger connection between being sick, inflammation, autoimmunity in the body, chronic stressors on the body, and changes in the brain. And they all come down to this one little cell, microglia. So people have to remember that name. It's changing the fields of science, neuroscience, psychiatry, and medicine. So anyway, to bring it back to where I was at that time and where this book started, I began keeping a little file of research. And I'd see studies like, well, wait a minute, people with gum disease are more likely to have Alzheimer's. A study came out showing that people who had been hospitalized for a bacterial infection were 62% more likely to develop depression and bipolar and psychosis. Well, if there's no immune connection between the body and the brain, How is this happening? Case studies came out in people with schizophrenia, a set of twins. One had schizophrenia, one didn't. The brother donated his bone marrow to his other brother, and his schizophrenia came out in his brother. So how is that possible? In another, a healthy donor donated bone marrow to a patient with schizophrenia, and the schizophrenia disappeared. So I had questions.
Yeah.
And yet, at that time, this idea that the brain was immune privileged was sacrosanct in medical research. And just to set the stage for listeners and viewers, that was largely due to the work of early anatomists who noticed this cluster of cells at the base of our brain called the blood-brain barrier. And you could think of them as this very tight cluster of blood cells that are so tight that immune molecules that are working in the body can't pass up through this tight funnel. So there were all kinds of reasons why science missed it. And it wasn't really until 2011 and 2012 when researchers began taking a closer look at these cells that we noticed that they were doing something extraordinarily powerful in the brain, something that's both extremely worrisome, but also enormously exciting for the future of medicine.
It's a great opener. I mean, this is something that you've lived and breathed. And I remember when you talked about in the book Childhood Disrupted, which by the way I've lent out to so many people. I recommended it to a lot of many other people as well. And the connection of past trauma. And you discussed that also. And so it's called adverse childhood experience that also works with these microglia, right? So let's talk about the connection there as well, because, you know, if things are passing through this blood-brain barrier, you know, like the example that you give with schizophrenia and how all of a sudden this other brother has schizophrenia, why weren't they looking into it and saying, why did this happen? Why?
Well, so scientists did start looking, and by the way, the blood-brain barrier does prevent the immune system in the body and the immune system in the brain from talking. So things aren't going up through there. Mm-hmm. And it turns out there's a reason why, because on the 7th day of gestation in the developing embryo, these little white blood cells that are differentiating in the womb, little bits break off into other cells called microglia, and they rise up into the brain. So the immune system doesn't need to be able to rise up through the blood-brain barrier because microglia are already policing the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. So when we think of microglia, we really can think about our immune cells in our body. What are they supposed to do? What do they do? Well, it's something I've written a ton about, obviously, in my books. So our immune system is in this constant dance with our environment, right? So our relationships, our conversations, our different toxins in the environment, pathogens, our history of infections, and the amount of chronic stress that we're under all can agitate our immune system to go on overdrive. So if we think of our immune system kind of like a barrel, and that barrel fills up over time with different stressors, the foods we eat that may not be good for us, toxins, pathogens, infections, chronic stressors, childhood adversity, which sets the stage for a chronic inflammatory state. We can fill that barrel so high, but if we fill it too high, the water spills over. And that's kind of an analogy for our immune system's ability to fight off inflammation and disease. Mm-hmm. So in the body, when our immune system is overwhelmed, we see chronic inflammation, autoimmune diseases, heart conditions, and when one of those stressors, which you mentioned, childhood adversity, adverse childhood experiences, when kids are growing and they have this kind of overwhelming hit from the environment, which is a chronic toxic stressor, and ACEs come down to originally 10 different forms of chronic unpredictable stress in the home and in the environment. And we now know there are many others, growing up in poverty, racism, and so on. But when kids are developing and their brains and immune systems are developing in an environment where they're surrounded by toxic stress, they get caught in a state of fight, flight, freeze, or hypervigilance, which produces a plethora of stress hormones and chemicals. And over time, these stress hormones and chemicals begin to alter the genes that oversee turning on the fight, flight, freeze response and turning it off again. Mm-hmm. These genes that oversee the fight, flight, freeze response get stuck in the on position. And we can see this in research coming out of Yale in the kids who've been experiencing adverse childhood experiences show changes to the genes that oversee the stress response on all 23 chromosomes. It's mind-blowing. So think of it this way. When there is a lot of adversity in childhood, it raises that level of inflammatory cocktail chemicals, which sets the immune system on high stress response. And we've understood that now for quite a while. What this research into microglia tells us is that if we are turning that stress response on high, we are also changing the activity of these microglial immune cells in the brain. And this solves a medical mystery, because for a long time we have understood that chronic adversity leads to changes in networks and connectivity in the brain, in very important key areas of the brain, or the connectome of the brain. But nobody knew why. And so I set out to tell a detective story, really, and figure out why that is. And again, it all comes down to this one cell that was totally overlooked by medicine for the past 100 years.
So let's talk about this one cell, because it has multiple personality disorder. So not trying to diagnose the microglia here, but it could be very good for us and it could also hurt us. So let's talk about the microglia and some of the personality traits.
So microglia originally were noted by scientists in the 1920s, and they looked at them and they noted them and they named them, and then they kind of forgot about them. They thought that microglia were the most boring cells of the human body. They had one job. If a neuron in the brain, and neurons were considered the flashy darlings of the research world, and microglia are these, boring janitor housekeeper cells that come along. Neuron dies, they pick it up, cart it away all day long, 24/7. So scientists just didn't look too closely at them. However, new tools which allow us to look at the brain really up close, new visual tools for enlarging the brain, activity in the brain, showed that microglia were up to something else. And around 2011, a young researcher at Harvard, Beth Stevens, was starting her own lab, and she had seen some moving films of microglia and thought, wow, what are these cells up to? I want to take a closer look at them. So when she started her own lab, she and her postdoc took a very close look at microglia, and what they found will change the history of medicine, and already is. They found that these microglia cells, which remember are immune cells, when agitated, they run around and they sculpt brain synapses in the brain. So literally morph into big, fat Pac-Man-like cells. They're no longer these nice little janitors who clean up after neurons the way an entourage cleans up after a movie star. They morph into big Pac-Man-like cells. They eat synapses that we need for feeling good, clarity of mind, cognition, mood state, optimism. And these synapses disappear, and they saw the pieces of synaptic material inside the bellies of the microglia.
Ugh.
It's pretty important science.
Yes,
And
I would say.
we missed it for 100 years. All of science missed it. Textbooks are being rewritten, and it tells us categorically that not only our body is in this constant dance with the environment, our brain is responding as our seventh sense on an immune level to everything in the world around us, our relationships, our all the different things that we might do for self-care really matter even more now, right? Because just as I think most people are listening might be coming here because they have something going on, right?
Yeah.
Like autoimmune issues or inflammation or mental health concerns. And we do everything we can, right, to right the ship so that our immune system is as healthy as it can possibly be. We talked about that barrel. We take as many things out of that barrel as we possibly can so that we're healthy. And this means that there are so many other ways that we can begin to look at protecting our brain.
So you're talking about the blood-brain barrier earlier. And so how the microglia are there, so they don't have to pass this barrier. But that seems like there are certain things that are happening in science that are causing things to get through. And some of the research that I've done and some of the teachers in the classroom have shown that 70% of people who have been diagnosed with dementia, for example, don't have dementia. That perhaps there are some of these products that are getting through, like aluminum. And so all these different things, how is it that with all these telltale signs, now is the time that we're hearing about the microglia, that someone said, let me look into this. Let me just look and see. I mean, amazing. Let me look and see what's in the belly of these people, these cells, these little humans, because we're a human with trillions of little other humans within us. And so why is it that they're not more aggressive? They hadn't been more aggressive to say, okay, we're seeing these results. We're seeing that these things are happening. Let's look deeper, other than for Beth Stevens, that she decided she would.
Okay, so let me be clear. So whenever we talk about environmental influences in brain health, we usually are looking at epidemiological research. So these people, these 3,000 people were exposed to this chemical in this plant. Like, we know that flame retardants are related to autoimmune disease. If you take people who worked in a plant for flame retardants and then you follow their autoimmunity levels over time, you're going to see more autoimmunity. Or there are big cases with big companies like in Anniston, Alabama, where there was a lot of different chemicals put on farm fields, and people were getting extremely sick. So a lot of that is epidemiological. We don't want to say, oh, we're seeing on a cellular level that aluminum is rising into the brain, because most of the research is looking epidemiologically. If you are exposed to something, this increases your chance. Those mechanisms cannot be made that simple. So I just want to say that, like, it's not like that. The blood-brain barrier, we can't say so simply that something is rising up into the brain. What we can say is that if a high level of any toxin, heavy metal or an infectious agent is activated in the body, our immune system will try to fight it off, right?
Yes,
it recognizes,
we have a beautiful body.
This is not me. This is not self. Something here, like, it's something here doesn't belong. I am going to get activated to try to get rid of it. And that results in inflammation and autoimmune activity. So I think we have to be really careful about how we say things.
Yeah.
And so why did science miss the fact that the brain had this immune response? They weren't looking at this cell, and they took early findings. There's one other reason, which I think your listeners and viewers might find kind of interesting, because I know reporting it, I was like, wow, the things that we make decisions on, the assumptions that we make every day. Like, think of germ theory, right? Nobody even imagined that one individual with an infection could make another individual sick. This was just categorically never thought of until it was discovered through childbed fever, that one OBGYN with dirty hands was killing an entire ward of women. So interestingly, one of the reasons we miss that the brain is an immune organ ruled by these immune cells comes down to another piece of anatomy. So if you are hanging pictures in your new house and you get out a hammer and you hit your thumb, I know I'm a klutz, I've done that many times. Your thumb will get red, hot, painful, and swollen. That's the classic definition of inflammation. Always. Red, hot, painful, swollen. First thing that you learn in medical school, inflammation is red, hot, painful, and swollen. But the brain has a piece, an anatomical piece, that would seem to argue against it being an immune organ, and that is this thing called our skull. So the idea that the brain was an immune organ would also have had to include the idea that we could swell in the brain when the brain was overwhelmed in some way. Yes, the brain can swell if it's a severe traumatic injury. It has to be very severe.
Yeah.
But that also told early anatomists, well, this organ is different, right? It's got to be different. So the blood-brain barrier, coupled with the skull, coupled with the work of early philosophers who felt that the brain, the mind, and the body were church and state, researchers didn't look. And the other reason is, in their defense, because I am a big fan of all the researchers I've covered over 6 books, they didn't really have the tools, Lillian, right? Tools
I can see that
changed in the past 15 years, 10 to 15 years. The ability to use high resolution microscopes and scans to look into the activity in real time in the brain. For the first time, researchers could see these cells swirl around like the stars in the Milky Way. And when there's activity in the brain and neurons aren't happy, these cells, microglia cells, which make up almost 10% of our brain cells, they swirl to that site and try to take action. Now, sometimes that action hurts us and sometimes it helps us. So it's just a matter of science growing and asking the right questions at the right time.
Very good. So let's talk about the book and how you wrote the book as a mystery, and what we can get out of this book for personal health care.
Sure.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So, so of course, this disease, especially for someone like me, I mean, I lost my dad when I was 12 to a very serious autoimmune disease. I have 4 autoimmune diseases. They run in my family. I have bone marrow issues. So do some of my close relatives that are autoimmune related. So I don't like this science that if we have a lot of immune activation in the body, then we're probably having more microglial immune activation in the brain. And epidemiologically, we can see that that's true. We can see that in patients with different autoimmune diseases. We see more microglial activation in the brain. So we know that that's happening, right? So I don't like that. Why would I like that?
No.
However, because of this new understanding of the brain, for the very first time, that the brain is an immune organ and that we can affect the health of the brain by affecting the health of these cells, a whole new field of science is opening up, a whole new era of discovery. It's a golden era in terms of brain research for better health for patients with issues of depression, anxiety, cognition, Alzheimer's, OCD, bipolar, schizophrenia. It's just amazing. And so in addition to being a fly on the wall in different researchers' labs, which was really fascinating and amazing, I also was a fly on the wall in the practitioners' rooms so that I could see them helping patients in real time. So I know we only have a few minutes left, so I'm just going to run through some of the things that I
think some of the stories that you share
that are exciting. We are seeing that it's possible using something called transcranial magnetic stimulation, which is a non-invasive pulse that is delivered from outside the brain, that we can reboot the activity of microglia in a way that makes them, I just want to apologize. I'm getting these texts, but I just want everyone to know they're from my daughters. I hope that humanizes me.
That's fine. That's fine.
Of course, my brain is going like, what is this? Why are all these texts coming in? Anyway, transcranial magnetic stimulation is a pulse that comes from outside of the brain. You don't really feel it. It's like feeling maybe a phone in your hand that's buzzing. And it allows microglia to reboot and come back to their good activity. So gamma light flicker therapy uses light wands and delivering light and sound pulses at 40 hertz. This is developed by engineers at MIT Peak Hour Institute. And it causes microglia in Alzheimer's disease to stop eating synapses, stop spitting out neurotoxins, and instead they start clearing away tau protein and bathing neurons in neuroprotective factors.
Amazing.
And the results in animal models are lasting for up to a week, and clinical trials are well underway. Fasting diets do a lot to reboot microglial cells. When microglia get that sign that the body is doubling down and not getting enough food, they reboot and they start to take on their good jobs.
That's why people feel more clear of mind when that happens.
That's exactly right. So there's a lot of research on that coming out of USC and Johns Hopkins. We have new anti-inflammatories that are coming through big pharma. We'll see what happens with that. We have to be very careful when we add something new into the brain. That said, there's some clinical studies in which patients with very difficult to treat disorders of the brain are having much better results when an anti-inflammatory is added into the mix. So lots of stuff is coming down the pike. We're starting to be able to test for microglial activity in the bloodstream. So take the blood test and see early on, say when a teenager is 14, and let's say they have a history of adversity. You know, we've talked about ACEs, so we know they've had a lot of chronic stress. And let's say they're in a family which has a lot of mental health struggles. You might see at 10 or 12, a pediatrician look at this microglial level of activity through a blood test and go, hey, you know, we've got to get proactive here. We've got to get proactive with diet and lifestyle and maybe neurofeedback and bringing in prevention in a way that may allow us to prevent disease. It's extraordinary. I think it's the most mind-blowing science I've ever reported on in my life. And I just wanted to get it out there and share it with people because it's an era of hope and possibility.
And when does the book come out?
It comes out on Tuesday, January 21st. So we're talking to you early. So you get an early peek, and I hope that people will consider pre-ordering it. That's the greatest gift you can give an author. So.
That's right, and I'm sure. So the book is called "The Angel, the Assassin: The Tiny Brain Cell That Changed the Course of Medicine" by Donna Jackson Nakazawa. Donna, you know, you blew me away with Childhood Disrupted, and then, but this one is going to be life-changing for a lot of people. You know, I am familiar with TMS, and I know people who have used it, but now I understand why it works with some people. And so it's so many things that you're bringing light of, and for the last 2.5 years we haven't been able to get you on, and now I know that your efforts, your efforts have paid off. So thank you so much, Donna, for being in the classroom today. I'm sure that this is just the beginning. I'm hoping maybe we can come back and really talk about this whodunit. This is a mystery that has a lot of truth, a lot of stories of people that have been able to uncover, become their own medical detective, their own MD. So, and you are too. You are helping yourself and heal. You look better every time I see you. So thank you so much,
you as
Donna.
well. It's so great to talk to you, and happy to come back.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
So I know that we have a heart out with you. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, everybody. All right.
Okay. I'll send you some questions when they come in. So we'll talk to you.
All right.
Care. Bye.
Well.
Okay. So this is a really good time for me to take a little break and say, you know, this is the kind of information that comes on, and let me see, Donna, let me see. You can just sign off.
Bye, guys.
Okay.
Thank you again.
Bye. Okay, so these are the things that information that we are able to kind of like dive into. This microglial, who knew that it comes up at 9? She said 7 weeks gestation. I thought it was 9 week gestation, but it goes from it pairs up with a white blood cell, goes up to the brain, and then all of a sudden it's your best friend or it's your worst enemy. What are we doing to create some of the things that are happening in our body? And this is a warning. Oh, I just dropped the book. Here we go. Here's a warning. So if you can read the book, it's from Donna Jackson Nakazawa. They call it The Angel and the Assassin, which is the actual microglial. That's what she calls it. It could be an angel. It could be an assassin. So we want to make sure that our brain is filled with angels. And so this is information that we get for free in the classroom, but it comes to us so that we can make a change, so that we can make a decision to say, enough, we're taking our health back. That's why whenyouneedafriend.com is here for you, and so that we can learn and grow together. So I want to ask you to please become a subscriber. And when you become a subscriber, check out, you get free gifts. You know who is going to be in the classroom before anybody is, and you will get free gifts when you do so. And so while you're there, please click on to all the different icons for social media, like and subscribe. Follow me on YouTube as well, subscribe there. But the one most important thing that you could ever do when you are at whenyouneedafriend.com is to check out my sponsors, which we're going to talk to Matt Bellis in a little bit from Liberty HealthShare. He doesn't get to dance with me today, but we can, yeah. And so Matt Bellis is going to be joining us. But Liberty HealthShare has taken a stand with the Lillian McDermott Radio Show classroom and said, we believe in what you're talking about. We are in unison with you. So we're going to talk a little bit about Liberty HealthShare in a little bit. Keep Me Safe Organics, which part of this microglial problem and all this immune system is all the toxins in our body. So Keep Me Safe Organics has made a commitment. No synthetics, no chemicals, no GMOs, organic, all organic. So these are things that we can do to start changing our body and the way that it expresses itself. First Alternative Care, check them out. Dr. Stephen Grable, functional, holistic, integrative. We also have the pharmacy in Merritt Island. And of course, you mention my name to any of these and you'll get some discounts here. So Live Longer Medical, helping people get healthy from the inside out. Ground therapy. Oh my goodness. Let's talk about ground therapy. Right now, even though you don't know it, my feet are bare and I am on my mat. So not that mat, this mat on my, not you, Matt, it's not your cue yet. But it's talk about removing inflammation in the body, and using the earth frequency to do so is just, who knows these things unless someone teaches us, because this is information that we were not taught. And finally, you can become an enrolled student. So check out the little button that says become an enrolled student. You can help with time, talent, or treasure and help us grow the classroom. Please support my sponsors the way that they're supporting the classroom. And speaking of support, I am always grateful for the support of Liberty HealthShare. Not only are they a sponsor, but I am a member at Liberty HealthShare, a very proud member of the club. So thank you, Matt, for coming on today. Oh, let me unmute you. You got it? Right now, you're like a mime. You were like a mime.
I was getting ready. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Well, welcome back to the classroom.
Thank you very much. I believe this is my first time back in the year 2020.
Yes, I haven't seen you since last year. I've been wanting to talk to you about that.
This is the future. I don't know if you realize this, but this is what it looks like. Welcome.
2020. Can you believe it? So Matt Bellis is the communications director for Liberty HealthShare. So lots of changes now. We're done with the open enrollment, right?
Right. We're done with open enrollment. We're into the new year. If you have missed the boat for open enrollment for 2020, standing on the docks waiting to be picked up, the dinghy of Liberty HealthShare is here to come pick you up. So we're here for you.
Yeah, there is no such thing as open enrollment time period, because every day is an open enrollment at Liberty HealthShare.
Absolutely. You can join us up at any time. It's primarily because we're not insurance and we're not beholden to the open enrollment insurance mandates. So yes, because of that, you can join us at any time.
Yeah, so you're not insurance, but you're assurance that there's someone with you holding your hand during times that you need someone to hold your hand. So let's talk about Liberty HealthShare. What's new? Because I just recently received a vote. Like what's the changes of Liberty HealthShare? We get to vote on some of the things that you're adding, removing, changing. So let's talk about what's going on with Liberty HealthShare at 2020. What should we expect?
Well, we're definitely making some changes, some advancements. We did have the vote. More of that information will be coming out subsequently here in the next couple of weeks about the results of that and what that means for the membership. But Liberty HealthShare is looking forward. We have a lot of good things in place, plans in place to improve what we're doing, to make changes to what we're doing, to increase the member experience for yourself and others of Liberty HealthShare. So we have a lot of plans in place that we want to put out there. You'll be hearing it as we go along here in the next few months.
Okay, so the health shares are becoming very popular now because people are making the decision to walk away from this third-party system. The insurance is making decisions for you, what you can, what you cannot do. And although we have to be responsible, and there's everything that we choose, there's a consequence, and there's also benefits and their costs. So with Liberty HealthShare, how is Liberty HealthShare different than all the other health shares that are out there?
It's interesting that you bring that up, because we as an industry look at the other healthcare sharing ministries, and we like to not say that they're competition, but we're complementary. Correct. Because we all each individually kind of hold our own unique space. And so we want the other healthcare sharing ministries to do well and to operate well. So we work with them in concert, but there are some distinct differences. One of the main reasons is that that Liberty HealthShare, as in its name, we want to help as many people as possible. We're not going to be restrictive on the kind of beliefs or structures that you have. We want you to be able to join if you can agree to our commonly held shared beliefs. We want you to be able to join. We want you to be able to benefit from how we truly believe the Bible works out how we should live. And so we welcome as many people as possible. The other thing is we do a lot of our sharing and giving online. We're one of the only healthcare sharing ministries that does that. So we want to make this an effective, efficient way of taking care of our share amounts and our medical bills. And also we are able to make some improvements into what we currently have so that we can get better in the future and set ourselves up in a place to be able to do that, be able to see what kind of bills are coming down the pike 90, 180 days out even to see what that does for our membership, if there are any need for fluctuations in how we share. So those are some of the differences that we have with Liberty HealthShare. We just really want people to experience and look into the ones that they think is going to fit them best. Join a healthcare sharing ministry that they like. We hope that they join Liberty HealthShare. But honestly, as long as people are finding freedom in healthcare by being a part of one of these ministries, we just want folks to be able to join and to express that in their own way.
Yes. And so just recently I received a packet from Liberty HealthShare with some of the changes like medications and discounts. And would you like to say, more about those changes that you guys made this last year?
Well, I can make some broad-based comments on it because we had found with a lot of the pharmaceutical needs that we had within our membership that our current process really wasn't meeting all of the needs that we needed, especially when it came to quickly getting even off-brand generic type of drugs. And so we moved to a different system where our members are able to get almost next day delivery on prescriptions or next day delivery on generics that they are looking for. And so a new type of prescription process that we're putting in place so that our members can really benefit from a better structure. So if that's something that is interesting to you as a member or a potential member of Liberty HealthShare, give us a call. We can walk through that. Can be a complex process, and I don't want to bore your audience for it. So yes.
Any other changes that came as a result of last year, that improvements?
Well, we always are looking to make sure that that we're treating our members the best. And so we've made some structural changes, some leadership changes. And so we're very happy with where we're headed and where we're going in the future. We have had some members who had some issues, and we know what some of those issues are, and we're taking certain responsibilities that we need to take and making those changes to improve things for the future. So we're very aware of what needs to happen within the membership of Liberty HealthShare to provide a better healthcare sharing experience for all of our members. So we're doing what we can and putting things in place to ensure that our members are put first.
Absolutely. And so for those of you who want to learn more about Liberty HealthShare, I walked away from insurance probably in 2000. Well, it's been 3 years since it's going on 4 years that I've been with Liberty HealthShare. And thank you. Yes, we'll have a drink on that one.
Yeah.
And so with that in mind, it's so important for us to look beyond. I mean, even today, as Donna Jackson Nakazawa was talking about, for hundreds of years, they didn't know anything about the microglia. And now we're discovering that. Well, the same thing could happen with HealthShare, with Liberty HealthShare. We were looking at insurance a certain way. That's the only thing. That's the only way, because that's what we were told, that's what we need. But sometimes when you step outside the box, who would have known that this little discovery could create so much changes in a lot of us? The way that the future of mental health may be looked at, the way that, things come about without even knowing. So Liberty HealthShare, you can reach at libertyhealthshare.org, or you can call 855-58-LIBERTY. That's 855-585-4237. I call you guys quite often, and I have an advocate that helps me, and if and I'm responsible to make sure that things run smoothly as well. So share about people that would like to learn more about the costs of Liberty HealthShare compared to, insurances that are astronomical with a high deductible, high copays. Let's talk about the simplicity of HealthShare.
So if you're going to join Liberty HealthShare, I actually like to talk about our most comprehensive program, because if that works for you, then the other ones are going to be totally fine. But if you were to join Liberty HealthShare as a single for our most comprehensive program, Liberty Complete, you would look to spend $299 per month. For a couple, it'd be $399 per month. And for a family of 3 or more, it would be $529 per month for your suggested monthly share amount. Now, whenever you go to the doctor or the hospital, you actually have a medical need. That's when we have what we call our annual unshared amount. It's the amount of money that you would pay before sharing begins. And that's $1,000 for an individual, $1,750 for a couple, and $2,250 for, again, that family of 3 or more. So comprised, those are the general costs when it looks to being a member of Liberty HealthShare. And if that looks great to you, then by all means, take a look at us. We have other programs and things available for you as well. You can all look at that on Liberty.
Because of the age, if you're under the age of 30,
Right.
there's so many different things that you guys make some allowances for as well. And for me, what drew me to Liberty HealthShare is knowing that I tend to be a little bit more holistic, integrative, functional, and we can go to the doctors. There's no what do they call it? In network or at a network with Liberty HealthShare. Talk a little bit about that, Matt.
Yeah, we actually have, we used to call it an open network, but it really does say that you can go to the doctor or hospital of your choice. If your doctor or hospital wants to work with you as a healthcare sharing ministry member, we're not going to stand in the way. We're not going to be the one to dictate where you can and cannot go. So go to the doctor or hospital of your choice. You can keep the doctor if you want. So that's completely up to you. You brought up being working with some integrated medicine, naturopathic, homeopathic medicine, and that was one of the issues that was brought up to us as a ministry a few years ago that we voted on, and the members unanimously said, yes, we want to add that into our healthcare sharing ministry. So it really was the members who pushed that and said, we want to have this as a eligibility within our membership because we think it's necessary and vital. So that was something that the members brought in. And because we've had a vote recently and other things, that's one of the things that I think a lot of people are a little bit shocked to find out, that our members actually have a say in what happens with Liberty HealthShare. You don't get that with other third-party insurances or government programs. So if you want something, go talk to the members and do it.
Yes, absolutely. And, I know that, and this is how it works, that a lot of people say, well, my doctor doesn't take Liberty HealthShare. Well, it doesn't matter. We can still go to them and we pay the cash pay, and then we submit our bills. Liberty HealthShare either reimburses us or the doctor, depending on where we've gone or if they've accepted it or not. And after, like, I remember when I first started with Liberty HealthShare, my endocrinologist said, oh, we don't accept this. I said, well, you may want to look into this because it's probably better for you than the insurance that you're taking with other people. And they welcomed, once they did the research, they were happy. So they do the billing for me. I don't even have to do that anymore. So it's even changing some of the way the doctors are looking at HealthShare as well. So, when they find that they're getting paid and they look at that they're getting paid more than most insurances would pay them, they're like, oh yeah, you tell your friends, tell anyone that's on Liberty HealthShare to come to see us too, because they realize that it's a win-win, and you truly are creating win-win out there. Is there anything you'd like to add before we go today, Matt?
Well, we're looking at 2020 as a great opportunity to put the things in there for our members that we really wanted to put as experiences and make it better for our members. We as an organization really do have skin in the game. This is a heartthrob for me. I've got my blood, sweat, and tears in Liberty HealthShare, so I really want it to be as good as it can be for the members. Honestly, Liberty HealthShare is almost my life's work because my family's a part of it. It's something that I helped birth from the beginning, and we want all of our members to do well within Liberty HealthShare. So we're here for you. If you're looking to join a healthcare sharing ministry and you come across Liberty, come and take a look at us, and please join us.
Without a doubt. That number is 855-58-LIBERTY. That's 855-585-4237. You can click at whenyouneedafriend.com on my sponsors page. Click on them and it'll take you to their site as well. And I absolutely love you guys. And I love it when you guys come on because, just again, we never know we don't know what we don't know. And it's amazing. Even some of the times that you've been on, Matt, that we've had a teacher that's a doctor, a medical doctor, they're writing down the information because they know that this is a win-win for them too. So thank you so much for what you're doing.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. And for those of you who are listening on podcasts, remember you can always join us at facebook.com/Lillian's radio show. And you can catch the whole broadcast because afterwards, after the classroom, I'm going to be picking the 5 names. The 5 names. Look at this. Look at what this says. 5 names for the people that will win the book from a couple of days ago. Thank you, Matt Bellis. Please remember, I'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott and Matt Bellis of Liberty HealthShare wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. Good job. Here we go.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.
Matt, I know that you're a family guy and you probably want to be with your family right now, but I really am grateful to you and everything that Liberty HealthShare is doing, not just for me, but everybody, and taking ownership and responsibility and changing some things around that needed some changing. So I thank you for that.
Thank you very much. We'll see you around.
Okay, thank you. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, those of you who, let me see, where's my book? Let's see. The book is called Laugh Loudly. And where is my book? Let me see. Where is my book? I actually have a signed copy of the book, and I don't know where it is right now. Maybe it's in my room. The book is called Laugh Loudly. Let me see. I'll tell you what the name of the book is. Oh, my goodness. So I said Judith Kravitz was going to give 5 books away. And so this is about transformational breath work. And I am looking all over for my book because I want to show you guys the book. And it's nowhere to be found. So my bad. And but know that I'm just going to do this right now because I promised you guys that I would. So I'm going to take 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I am going to let you know who are the winners. Okay, so we have Victoria Sterling. Very good. I will write this down later. Terry Coleman. Congratulations. We have Galina Lozinski. Congratulations. And let's see who else we have. Gail Green. And last but not least, can I get a drum roll, please? Cheryl Ritto. I think if I didn't pronounce your name, I'll reach out to you on instant message. Thank you so much for reaching out and saying that you want the book. And I feel so honored that you guys are, we are all learning together. So thank you so much for everything that you're doing. I know that the book, The Assassin, The Angel and the Assassin, The Tiny Brain Cells That Changed the Course of Medicine by Donna Jackson Nakazawa is a book that many of you will pick up, that it will be life-changing and a game changer for you. So until we meet again, we will see you soon. So thank you so much for watching today. If you have any questions for Donna, or if you have any questions for me, you can always reach out to me at lily@whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll see you soon. Take care.